All right, welcome everybody to our training today. My name's Trevor, and I'm going to be hosting this broadcast, which is specifically going to be directed to you prospective website owners. You guys that have thought about having a website, but really aren't sure when to start or even why you would start versus maybe doing some other type of internet business. Maybe you just like doing eBay, so you're not sure, why a website is really even something you need to worry about. But maybe you are interested and you don't know how to begin or what the costs are like. And so I want to give you kind of a really big, broad picture so you have a better perspective on how to answer some of these questions. That way you can know what's right for you. Some of you guys don't know which software to use or which host to have do your hosting for your website, or even what hosting is. So let's cover some of those things today, and hopefully this gives you a better perspective on when to start all of this. So again, this is geared more to you guys who are maybe more beginners in the coaching program. So if you're a savvy veteran who's been here for a while, this may not be as interesting, but stick around. You might learn something anyway. So let's talk about first, number one, when should I do a site? And maybe what kind, okay? So a lot of times when you get into our coaching program, one of the very first things you'll do with us is you do a lot of eBay training, and the whole purpose behind that is we like you to get something set up quickly. We like you to get some revenue coming in fairly quickly to the business, and when you do eBay, there's almost no other way that can generate revenue as quickly as doing some drop shipping and doing some sales on eBay, which is why so many of us will start you on that. And during that process, we transition over into doing a website. So to answer your question, when would we do one? Traditionally, with my clients, we'll start working on our website around the 1 month mark, or maybe a little after that. Maybe a little after the 1 month mark since you've been in the program. And look, it's optional. You guys certainly don't have to do it. I've had a handful of clients over the years simply just do eBay because that's what they liked and that's what they were good at, and they didn't have a desire to do anything else. There's a few you guys that just like to do your affiliate marketing and link posting, and maybe don't want to do a website. So that kind of goes over to the what kind question. If you're going to do a website, there's two different types that we recommend. One would be a drop shipping website where people come to your site and actually buy a product, order something, pay you money, and then you have your drop shipper ship it out to them. Or you could do an affiliate website where you're posting links and writing articles and developing content and making money off of advertising. Today, just for the sake of this discussion, we're going to talk more about doing a dropship website. So, and I guess to maybe expand on this a little bit, as to the why we do a website, it's just I like to see a little diversity within your internet business. If you've ever met with a financial planner before, no decent financial planner is going to tell you to go put all your money in one stock or one sector, right? Put all your money in Apple and watch yourself get rich, right? That's too risky. No smart diversification strategy is going to be centered around one stock. And in the same way, in the world of internet business, usually you don't just have one strategy, you diversify a little bit, and that's another reason why we like to have a website. So that kind of covers the first part of the why a website question. It's for some diversification. Another reason why you might want a website is because you don't have to pay eBay fees on one. So, eBay is taking 10% of your guys' sale on eBay. You sell something for $100, eBay is taking 10 of those dollars. Well, you eliminate that if you've got your own site. So you're holding on to that extra raw 10%. Which can be pretty critical from a profit margin standpoint. It can save you a tremendous amount of money. Now, eBay charges that because they do all the advertising and marketing and promotion for you. They do all the hosting, and so you're not taking on any of those additional headaches as you might with a website, which I'll explain more here in just a second. So that's why they charge the 10%. But I would say it's worth it to have your own website just to save on that. Plus, you know how eBay has limits, right? Sometimes you guys get stuck where, you can't list any more than 50 or 100 or 200 items, whatever your current limit is. Websites don't have anything like that. You can have thousands of products on a website and not have an issue with limits. So there's a lot of pros to having one. And I remember years ago, eBay had an issue where that they were not compliant with some of Google's latest algorithm changes, and so eBay lost a lot of their Google rankings, and it hurt a lot of people's eBay businesses because they started to fall and not get quite as many visitors. And as a result, if you were 100% in eBay and that was your business, I mean, you got hurt by that and didn't have a lot of recourse. When you own your own website, I mean, at least you have a little more control over that type of stuff. So for me, it's a control thing, it's a cost thing, it's a freedom thing, and it's an expansion of the business as a whole, because eBay represents only just some small part of the market. The overall market, there's lots of people who don't necessarily shop on eBay, and so it's wise to have your own website out there in Google and other search engines. Makes a lot of sense. So those are some of the reasons why. Maybe the biggest why is, do you want to make more money? Do you want to have more upside in your business? Then you need a website. You definitely need a website. Now, the next natural question in this line is how much, right? How much does it cost me to have a website? Well, let's look at what your potential costs are, okay? So domain name is a cost. I'm going to just list these here. Hosting is going to be a cost. Design might be a cost. Marketing might be a cost. Even suppliers can sometimes be a cost. So let's examine each of these. You'll find if you want to do this on the cheap, you can, and if you want to make it more expensive, you can do that as well. I suppose that's true of most things. But let's go through each. So the first thing there is domain name. To own a domain name, most places you're looking at, $10 to $15 dollars per year. It'd be a yearly cost. 10 to 15 bucks a year to own a name. So that would be like, you own the website, mysuperstore.com or whatever it is, right? You own the rights to that name, and that's where your website is going to be found. And usually that's a a yearly thing that you would pay for, 10 to 15 bucks a year. No big deal, right? $1 a month, essentially. So seriously, not a big deal. But we're not going to talk about how to register one today. I just want to give you high level how to do it. It's easy to do. Second thing you got to look at is hosting. Now, if any of you guys know anything about hosting, you know that the price really varies. You'll see stuff like 99 cents per month hosting advertised. You'll see stuff like $100 a month advertised. And then sometimes you'll see stuff like free hosting advertised. And you might wonder, well, what's going to be best for me? Well, a lot of that depends on the where you have it hosted. And I do have some suggestions on that. I'm going to talk to you guys about that here in just a minute. Most of our clients are paying in the neighborhood of about $40 per month hosting. Now you might say, well, that seems like a lot, right? Well, what is hosting? Guys, hosting is basically owning a little part of cyberspace out there where all of your files can be placed. Your hosting to your website is a little like your hard drive is to your computer. You have a certain amount of space. If you guys didn't have a hard drive on your computer, if you tried to save a document, there wouldn't be anywhere to save it, right? It couldn't save because you have no place to save it. Same goes for hosting. If you're going to own a website and you're going to have products and pictures and text and content and lots of different pages and videos or whatever you're going to have to make up this website, there's got to be a place that all of this is saved. So you need a web host, and that's usually a monthly fee. Not expensive if you're doing it the way we recommend. At least for an e-commerce drop shipping type website, you're probably in the neighborhood of about 40 bucks a month, which is pretty good because your domain name's, a little over $1 a month. Your hosting's about 40 a month. In most cases, our company will pay for the first couple of months of hosting for you. So a lot of my clients never even realize that 40 bucks a month, because by the time their site's going, they can just make up for it with their website, and the business can pay for it, which is good. So that's hosting. So you're looking at a little cost there. Now let's talk about design for just a second. Design can be done for free, or it can cost. Shocking, I know, right? I guess that's true of almost anything. Web design these days is a lot easier than it used to be. There's good enough software, and certainly our training is good enough to where we can show you, certainly at least how to get up some sort of a good workable site that doesn't look like a total amateur put it together. And we pride ourselves and hang our hats on the fact that we can teach you guys that. If you wanna have a professional design it, it's going to cost you some money. And professional design work is anything from, in the hundreds of dollars to the, I'd say the, 10,000s of dollars, depending on what you have designed. I mean, I suppose it's a little like building a home. If you own a piece of property, you could put a tent up on your piece of property, and that tent would cost you, 45 bucks at Walmart. Or you buy a piece of property, which in this case would be like your hosting provider. You buy a piece of property, and then you go and you build a mansion on it. A mansion could be millions of dollars, right? And that's the same with web design. I mean, you'll hear advertised all over the place that, we'll design you a website for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Well, you get what you pay for, and that's probably going to be in the realm of the Walmart tent sitting on your piece of property, as opposed to you going with a great contracting home design service that maybe makes custom homes, and you get those built and they build you a mansion. That would be more like the paying a good professional web design group. We have those in house, and there's plenty out there that are not in house. And we'll give you a pretty unbiased take on what you should do. If you don't want to do your own design work, either have our people do it or go somewhere else and have somebody else do it. We won't put pressure on you one way or the other. And I'd say it's about split. I'd say half of you guys have professionals do it and you pay money for it. And the other half, try to do it themselves. And there's pros and cons to each, and you can discuss with your coach, how you want to approach that. I've had clients that have done sites themselves that have been great, and I've had others that have struggled with it and have really benefited from, paying a few $1,000s and have, a good professional design one for them. It just depends on the client. So I want to show you what your options are, and so there could be costs there, or there may not be. Okay, now let's talk about marketing for just a second. That's the same thing, free or cost. Okay, so one of the things we hang our hat on here in the program, the coaching program, is I've spent considerable time and money learning how to market websites and businesses online. I've taken classes on it. I've taken online courses. I've certainly got a degree that emphasized a little bit of marketing. But I don't know how practical all of that is. The truth is, with marketing on the internet, you just have to be working with somebody who's done it and has businesses, and all of our coaches, have and do that. So we feel very comfortable teaching you guys how to do it and how to do it for free, how to rank in Google, so on and so forth. There are services out there, and we even have some in-house here where we have a marketing department that can provide marketing services for you. And there's people we can have talk to you about that. But, again, it's the half and half thing. Half of our clients utilize that and really stand to benefit. And a lot of you guys who can afford it, I tell you to do it because I think it's worth it. The other group who's just like, I can't afford to invest more, you learn how to market for free. We teach you how to do Google marketing and teach you how to get onto Facebook and Twitter and, really how to get your site exposure. So, we can do a combination of both. You can go completely free, or you can go and have some cost involved. Either way, we really hang our hat on the fact that we can teach you how to get people to your site. and that does not have to come at a cost. Everybody thinks they have to go to Google and pay them hundreds or if not thousands of dollars to get traffic, and that's not necessarily true. We can show you other ways to do it. So I would say it's a big part of our program. I'm talking like by the time my clients get into the marketing portion where you're training on how to do that, I mean, we may train you on that for 6, 7, 8 weeks, and or more if you need it. So we can keep that on the cheap if need be. Last one is suppliers for just a second. So there are suppliers out there, and specifically, we're usually talking about drop shippers. Some of you guys carry your own inventory, which is fine. Maybe you've got a wholesaler. Maybe you are the manufacturer and you make your own jewelry or whatever. I had a client years ago that created a site around her jewelry creations and did just fine. And so, you know, again, if you're more in the drop ship model, I know there's suppliers that cost money and those that are free out there, and we can do one or the other. I'll go ahead and put free or cost there as well. So like really, if you guys wanted to do a website on the absolute cheap, you pay 10 or 15 bucks a year for your domain, you pay 40 bucks a month for your hosting, and then everything else is done by you, courtesy of us teaching you how to do it. So what is that? What's that? That's like what, $5 a month total is your cost? I mean, if you average it a little bit, right? Well, not even that. I mean, 40 divided by 12, you're only paying like $3 a month. So it's like, I don't know, like $4 a month would be your cost on owning and operating a fully functional dropship site if you wanted to do it on the cheap. On the higher end, where you get a lot of the bells and whistles and somebody's designing it, somebody's doing some marketing, maybe you've got some paid suppliers, you know, maybe you're on the upper end of, you know, 8, 9, 10 grand, right? Look, you can get to your end goal either way. It might be a little easier if you're investing and paying people to do things. I mean, it's a lot like it reminds me of my landscaping out in my backyard right now. I like to spend time in the yard, and I'll do a lot of regular yard maintenance and stuff just because I enjoy it. For me, it's an out. It's a way to get away from the computer screen a little bit. So you'll often find me out in the yard, but I typically will pay somebody to come out and do major landscaping. We put in this big rock wall last year, had a bunch of sod taken out, had a bunch of dirt brought in. I could have done that for sure. I could have taken a few days and gotten a truck and did all of that work myself. Or I pay a few $1,000s and I have somebody else do it for me better and more efficiently. And I opted for the latter, and I'm glad I did. And so it's the same thing here. It's like you can do it yourself. Yes, it may take a little bit longer. Yeah, there's probably a little bit more of a learning curve there. Or you pay somebody and they do it for you. Save a lot of time, and you're off running with the business quicker. Not everybody has additional thousands of dollars to invest in it, and we understand that. And we're sensitive to that, right? A lot of you guys pay a lot of money just to get into the coaching program. And so we're not in the business of putting pressure on you one way or the other. If you want to just stay cheap and go with cheaper options here, you can. And like I said, you can literally run one of these websites for $4 or $5 a month. If you want to be a little more on the expensive side and get some of the bells and whistles and pay for some of that help, yeah, you could be 7, 8, 9, 10 grand into doing and operating your website. It's just there's not a best. It's just it depends on your individual situation. So I would encourage you to counsel with your coach a little bit and see what situation is going to be best for you, and they can make some recommendations and share that with you. But I think whether you do it in a way that's paid or whether you do it in a way that's on the cheap, like we talked about, I think you should do it. I think if you're going to go through an internet marketing training course like this, at one point or another, you should get a website. Don't put all of your eggs in the eBay basket. Some of you guys are really good at eBay and make a lot of money there, and that's great. Others spit and sputter a little bit, and this should be one of the very next things you do and consider. Now, before we finish up, from a kind of our high-level discussion here of doing a website, as far as like the software that you would use, which is usually synonymous with your hosting company, there's many out there that you guys will ask me about. So I'm just going to list some of the main ones. A lot of you guys will ask me about WordPress. Some of you guys will ask me about Wix. Some Shopify is one. And tell me if you've heard of some of these guys. I'll bet you have. How about this one? BigCommerce, or Magento is one that's commonly used. Volusion is the one that we typically will recommend. And I should just put etc. because there's many more. These are some of the main names that you'll recognize. Well, this one's the one that we recommend and we teach most consistently in the program. We like Volusion. It's your web development software. We won't go into a ton of detail on it other than to say it also doubles as your hosting provider. Volusion is not our company. They're a company based out of Texas who specializes in web development software, and it's great. Everybody who runs and operates a website, for the most part, has some kind of a software that they use. I like Volusion. That's what we're comfortable with. But we're able to use any of these. There's pros and cons to all of it. But we'll save you the time. We'll say number 6 is probably what we'll recommend. And then, if some of you guys opt to use some of these other softwares, we'll talk about using that, another time. So anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful, or at least somewhat enlightening, just in terms of like, hey, what kind of software do I use? Who's going to be building my site? What are the pros and cons of having somebody else do it? If somebody else does it, who does it? When should I do one? How much is it all going to cost? I mean, that's really what I was hoping I'd be able to cover today, and I feel like we were able to do that. So thanks for taking a minute and watching this. Make sure you consult with your coach and come up with a plan here that's going to work for you. And we'll see you guys all next time in our next training on Wednesday of next week. Thanks for coming along.